So, I just sort of mentioned we're going to talk about COVID and wedding planning now, and wedding photography.
Wedding photography.
So, talk to us a little bit about. I mean, do you want to go over first just how much you do, or do you want to just dive into kind of the issues you've had coming up with COVID?
Well, you know what? I think wedding photography and wedding planning, they overlap. Mm-hmm. Especially, I learned it the hard way preparing for this particular wedding that's coming up this upcoming weekend. And the reason is, a wedding day is usually very structured by default. But COVID made every wedding day even more difficult. So planning for a wedding day made it even more difficult.
Kind of like mixed things up.
Yes.
Threw us all off as vendors.
Exactly.
I mean, as the world.
Exactly, yeah. As the world. Some people think that a wedding photographer is a person that just shows up at your wedding with one camera and, looking pretty, snaps random pictures here and there.
That's it. That's all you do.
Right, easy,
that's
right? Easy peasy. But it's not necessarily the case most of the time, probably 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
Because just to give you an idea what goes into planning of a wedding photo session.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit. So this is just the photography part, or this is also photography and planning?
This is just the photography part. And here comes my piece of advice. Guys, if you don't have a wedding planner, please hire a wedding planner.
Especially now.
So that your photographer doesn't have to, put together 5 different timelines. I'm happy with scouting all the locations and taking pictures and figuring out where and when what pictures needs to be taken. But
because that's normally what you would do, right? In normal times, you would have a timeline of your job and what you need to do, right?
Right,
and what
exactly. So my timeline would look pretty much easy. It's simple. It's a simple sheet of paper where we just indicate our start time, parking garage locations, venue locations, pretty much what equipment, what time we need to take, and where each of our team members is at certain particular time. But this is a much more complicated project. It turns into a much more complicated project. I'm looking at this wedding day timeline. We got to be extremely careful and respectful to the guests and to the couple, just to make sure that all the groups of people, families, they don't necessarily see each other or interact with each other in person before the wedding, even though they are technically a family, but they don't live together. They have not been exposed to each other before the wedding. So we got to be very respectful, very careful about how we take those photos to make sure that everyone is taken care of and photographed, but in different groups and different times.
Yeah, as I mentioned in a previous video, we've had, especially as photographers, you guys have had to rearrange a lot of what you're doing. So on a normal, just for those of you who maybe hadn't seen the other ones, on a normal basis, you would just have a group crowd, right? You would take a group photo of the family. Right. What does that look like now?
Yeah. So on a normal day, for a normal wedding, a large group of people could consist up to 20 people sometimes. Whoa. And everyone would be completely comfortable taking that photo, because one side of the family, the groom's side and the bride's side, they all come together and we would snap one group shot.
Yeah.
And no longer the case. We cannot longer do that. And we would have to break that photo with 20 people into 3, 4, or sometimes even 5 different photos, depending on, again, who has been exposed,
who's quarantined together,
yes,
who has seen each other.
Right.
So this creates even an extra job on your end, because you now have to coordinate with the bride who has been together.
Exactly.
What parts of the family have seen each other, what haven't,
exactly,
or who haven't.
Absolutely. Yes, and this creates, instead of normal 15, 20 combinations, now we are getting like 40 or 50 combinations. So we definitely need to allow more time for comfortable family photo shoot. That's a must. This is why we had to extend the hours of coverage, and we are adding 2 more hours in the beginning just to be able to cover brides preparations, then bridesmaids pictures and family pictures all together. There is no other way. It's just, yeah.
Let's backtrack really quickly. So on it, just so you guys are informed, on a normal wedding day, what is the job of a photographer? A lot of people don't realize that you guys are there all day. You know, I'm a hair and makeup artist. I am there for a long time too, but I'm usually just there in the beginning. People don't realize, walk us through kind of what a normal wedding would be like, what is actually involved, and why you guys charge as much as you do.
Well,
because there's so much work involved that I don't think people realize.
it is a very good question. Not that I'm complaining, by no means. I love my job.
Yeah.
But this, like these few sheets of paper, this is just the very, very beginning. This is even before the wedding started. This is a wedding day timeline and photo combination list.
Now, you usually sort that out on your own, or you do that with a planner?
Usually, a bride and groom would work with our couple would work with a planner. Normally, I would overlap my simple wedding day timeline with a long timeline, full day timeline, and photo combinations list to be able to.
So that's
make
sort
sure
of
that we
step one. You've already reached out. Now, what?
Well, so after we have this timeline, wedding days, weddings are very, very structured by default, as I said earlier, and we have to make sure that we have a solid plan for every part of the wedding. So according to this timeline, we only have half an hour to take preparation pictures, pictures of the bride and groom together, all the details, all the bridesmaids pictures, and that's the time. That's the only time when we can do it. There is no other
Which is
time.
the beginning of it, right in the morning or whenever.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're starting.
And pretty much every set of pictures, must take pictures, has its own time where it needs to be taken during the wedding. So it's my job to make sure that we plan. We have plan A, plan B, and plan C, just to make sure that we have everything covered in the end of the day. Talking about, I know you asked about a regular wedding, right? Regular wedding day. But I just want to
This is for COVID,
This
right?
is for COVID, yes. This is what our table shots look for COVID special. So basically, these are all family members that have had met before the wedding, and they are comfortable with sitting together and being photographed together. Take a look at this table. This table, all these people are comfortable with sitting with each other and being photographed, but this person wants to be photographed by himself. So we got to be respectful, and we have to have a plan. We have to have this.
So each table is a group of people that have quarantined together or are comfortable with each other and are also getting their photo taken, just them.
Right.
As opposed to doing a group shot.
Exactly.
Crazy. It's crazy, these adjustments, but we're making it work.
Of course, our insurance certificate and parking permits. Parking in Manhattan is nightmare.
Impossible.
Even now. So we have to be able to take care of all of this. And of course, this is COVID special. We are bringing along all the disinfectants to make sure that everyone is safe, and including my crew as well. So this is for everybody's safety.
Yeah, I mentioned this in another video too. It's kind of a two-way street for vendors right now, because I know on the hair and makeup end, obviously we're super sanitary, but we're worried about you, and you should be just as much worried about us and our safety, because she has a team, I have a team I have to take care of. At the same time, working on, she's working with your entire family trying to do photos. I'm trying to do hair and makeup on your, wedding party, moms, whoever. So it's kind of a group effort here, and we all need to take care of each other, which I think is really important. And there's got to be a lot of communication on that.
A full day. It's long. It could be a long interview, a long story. But to make a long story short, first and foremost, make sure that you get along with your wedding photographer, because you will spend the entire day with them. You will not spend as much time with your mom and dad or with your significant other as much time as you will spend with me or your wedding photographer, because I will be with you from the very, very beginning, from early morning, if you wish so, of course, and then our team will leave after the reception is over. So pretty much it's all day, and we'll be by your side, trying to keep you calm, trying to photograph you without interfering, interrupting. And if you don't get along, it may be a stretch to actually enjoy your wedding day.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's super important. I definitely, if you guys didn't know that already. Also, so, you've gotten them, you take the initial photos, and it's kind of like, I know from my perspective, you leave hair and makeup, you've done all those getting ready photos, then it's like go time for you, right?
Right.
So what happens after that?
So after hair and makeup pictures are taken care of, usually we photograph the first look. Not all couples want to do the first look, but what is first look? First look is when the bride and groom, or the couple, or two grooms, two brides, see each other for the first time, all dressed up, all ready to go. And we arrange a moment when they actually turn around and see each other, and I think that makes the sweetest photos, the sweetest memories. I would strongly recommend that you incorporate it into your wedding day.
A lot of couples also do that, if you don't know yet, obviously, so you can enjoy your cocktail hour later. You get some of those initial photos out of the way, so you have time to enjoy your wedding. I mean, that's become super popular.
Exactly.
But some people still want the walking down the aisle, first moment, which you love as a photographer too.
Which is absolutely.
I love that as a guest.
Right. Amazing. It is amazing. But then keep in mind that family photos will have to be taken after your ceremony, when everybody's kind of tired. Everybody wants to just go and have a drink, and we will be forcing them, your family, your closest, most important people, will be forcing into staying with us for another hour or so, taking photos and smiling for the camera. So there's good and bad in both scenarios. I really love the first look, because then when the bride and groom already had seen each other, we can go ahead and take family photos before get it out of our way before the reception starts.
Also, something I just thought of, I run into a lot of very nervous brides, which of course, this is such a heightened day. Some people have planned this for a year. Right. Some people have had to put it off because of COVID. And so sometimes I find the first look actually to relieve some nerves, because it's just you and your partner.
Absolutely.
And it's, it kind of gets the initial jitters out, and you can just be alone with the person you're marrying, which is nice.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then, so after the first look, as I mentioned, this is my 15th time bringing up this
very
piece
important,
of paper. This is so important. This is so important. I do have a solid plan with all the family combinations that we are taking. So after we are done with the first look, the bride and groom stay kind of in the same place, and we bring in family members just to photograph.
Sorry,
that list.
I'm going to interrupt you really quick. I don't know if you can see this, but she actually has, scouted. She has photos of, places, options to shoot, which some photographers go ahead of time, right?
Yes,
and figure out, so there's so much work that goes into this.
Absolutely.
So that it can flow, right?
Exactly. I always do that. So we have to make as many decisions as possible before the wedding day, just to make sure that all we have to do is just to execute. We know that some segments could run a little bit longer, and a wedding can run a little bit behind schedule. That's when we need Plan B and Plan C to come into play. But other than that, I like to be very well prepared, and that's a huge deal, because every wedding is a project. I have corporate background, and every wedding photo shoot is a project for me.
Yeah.
We need to answer all those questions: where, when, why, with whom, how many, before the day starts.
And then you guys are there completely till
the
dancing.
Till the dancing. Yeah, till the dancing. So pretty much what happens after the family photo shoot is over, most of the time the bride and the groom want me to take pictures of just the two of them. So basically it's just portraits, wedding portraits. And we would need about 30 to 40 minutes for those, just to make sure that you have beautiful wedding pictures, beautiful wedding memories. And then off we go. Then ceremony and reception, and then all the fun begins. Yeah,
so there's just so much that goes into it, and so many hours and so much time.
Absolutely.
And then you're literally there till the last moment, which
Yep.
I mean can be a lot of fun, which is
Most of the
good,
time.
which you should be.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, is there anything else you want to say that kind of what else goes in? Because then there's all the post stuff, right?
Oh yeah. Well, post production, we're not even going
Oh,
there.
that's another
Right,
live.
that's another-
yeah.
Right, but with all the pictures that I have, pictures and videos, all the media that I have after the wedding, I would not be able to go to sleep until I save all the pictures on my computer in 3 different spots. That's why sometimes I wouldn't sleep for the entire night. So it's a 24-hour shift for me because when I'm home, I start sorting out pictures, saving pictures, and it takes a few hours to save all the pictures. That is why it's so important to free
back
back it up and free up all the time. For example, if I have a Saturday wedding, I would not be able to plan anything for Sunday because I know that I will be busy, like starting Friday night, packing, charging, and then Saturday and Saturday night I will be saving photos, and on Sunday I would be looking through photos, making sure that they're okay, and resting and sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
So the
even
rest.
before post-production begins. Post-production is
Which is all the editing, the sorting out, the photoshopping, things like that.
yeah, and it takes weeks. But long story short, that's what it pretty much boils down to.
So if you can imagine all this work on top of having to deal with a pandemic and sorting out how to make this still perfect for you guys as wedding couples, and how to be sure you still get what you want and what you paid for, and still making this a special day, which is not impossible. I've said this on other stuff. You can definitely still have the day that you imagined and wanted. It's just going to look a little different.
Yeah, and one of the most important things I want to say again and again and again, if you don't have a wedding planner, please hire a wedding planner, especially now.
Yeah.
It will make.
There's even day of planners
Right,
who will, even though they're there the day of, they will help you, check in a couple weeks before. That's usually what they do. If you need recommendations, let us know. We know many great planners that we'll definitely have on the show at some point. But yeah, now's kind of a special time more than any because they have dealt with emergencies and weddings. I'm sure at some point, obviously none of us have dealt with the pandemic, but they would know what to do.
They're true professionals,
Yeah.
and you really need someone by your side who has been through that many, many, many times because it's your first wedding and hopefully your last wedding, one and only. So you got to make it right.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Bye.